Shelley Craft, we're coming to you live on SNN Live. We're at the 2012 Metals and Minerals Investment Conference here in San Francisco. You may have remembered it as Hard Assets. I have with me someone else you might remember, Mickey Fulp, the mercenary geologist, the featured speaker at this conference. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome Mick. Mick, good to see you.
Likewise, Shelley. It's always my pleasure.
You say that to everybody, right?
Especially the girls.
Oh, there you go. So here's my thinking, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think the mercenary geologist is going to have to say about the U.S. election where we have President Obama for 4 more years? What's your opinion on that?
You mean Obama?
Obama. That kind of sums it up in one word.
Well, yeah, it came down to Rum Nuts or Obama, and we got Obama. And what's it mean? Well, it means we have Obamacare, and we have higher taxes, and we have mandatory medical insurance. And if we don't pay that, then they tax us for it. And we've got increased taxes on capital gains. You know, 21 new taxes signed into law by Obama, scheduled to take effect first day of January 2013. Those taxes go all the way from increased capital gains and penalties in capital gains for people who we would consider upper middle class. Not, you know, you make $200,000 a year, you're kicked up and pay 3.8% more on capital gains. Bush tax cuts are going away, evidently. These taxes range all the way from capital gains to a 0.9% tax for a Medicare payroll tax, and 10% excise tax if you go and get an indoor tan. So it covers the gamut.
That hurts. That really hurts.
Yeah.
But
well, you and I live where the sun shines, so we don't have that problem.
But here's the question. How do you feel that they used a term like financial cliff as a geologist? I mean, come on now.
The fiscal cliff. Well, geez. You know, the fiscal cliff looks like to me like the Greek crisis. And a crisis is something that has to be dealt with immediately. It's imminent, right? Well, we've been going through this Greek crisis for well on 3 years now, and I wouldn't call that a crisis. So is the fiscal cliff actually something that we're going to fall off of, I guess I should say. It's something that Bernanke coined this summer, I think, and it's become the buzzword and this urgency. And you watch, Congress isn't going to do anything about it in the next 6 weeks. And what's going to happen? Well, what's going to happen, the market's going to continue to sell off because people see these taxes coming, especially capital gains taxes, and they're trying to plan for that.
Yeah, this is the 31-day rule without the buyback at the end.
There you go. Yeah.
Right?
So, and we still have the 31-day rule. So you got the wash sale. But you know what I'm doing? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to end up with zero capital gains, short-term and long-term this year. I'm selling tax losses. I am not buying anything probably till mid-December. I'll come in and start buying after most of this tax loss selling's going on. And the beginning of next year, these stocks I think are going to bounce, and I'm going to be selling into the bounce in January.
Okay, now you bring up a very good point, because my next question is, this year with the flooding out on the East Coast and the disasters, and now what's going on in the Middle East, the fourth quarter, to a large extent, I hate to say it, has been written off. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested, what's going to happen in the first quarter? Your opinion for our viewers.
Well, I am a geologist, exploration geologist, so I have to be somewhat of an eternal optimist. So I look at the analogy of 2008, 2011, where we had this drastic fourth quarter sell-off, and what happened immediately after the first of the year is we saw a bounce led by the gold stocks. So I'm very hopeful we're going to see that bounce. I look for a much better first quarter of 2013.
Now, your sentiment is one I've heard many times of late, that there's going to be a bounce in the first quarter. However, when you get a sentiment of what's going on around some of these conferences, these companies need money now. They need bounces in their stocks now. They've got private placements that they're trying to get sold now. And I know it does, I got to tell you, it's not that far away, the first quarter, but remember the first quarter doesn't, there's 3 months of that. And it could be the end of the first quarter before there's a bounce. So some of the feelings that I'm getting is it's kind of tough market right now.
Well, it is a tough market, especially for financing beaten down juniors with too many shares. But as I generally say, 95% of these companies ought to go away anyway. And the people that are trading for a nickel or a dime and they're out of money and they got 150 million shares outstanding, let's just let them go away. I hope they don't get financed because they need to go away. We need to reduce the number of companies. We need to wipe out a bunch of these companies and kind of start over with a cleaner slate. So in one way, shape, or form, I kind of welcome what's going on because it's going to wash out, and a bunch of bad companies. We should be left with a cadre of stronger companies. There's a lot of good, strong companies here. I have 6 sponsors right now. They are all cashed up. They're not raising money, 5 of those sponsors have, I think the lowest of 5 of my 6 that I'm talking about, the lowest one probably has $8 million in the bank right now.
So you're not holding a benefit for them.
Yeah, that's pretty healthy.
So now let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. If you ever wondered where he got the name Mercenary Geologist, you now know. What is that website?
mercenarygeologist.com. I am for hire.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mickey Falk, Mercenary Geologist, featured speaker, of course, at this conference. We're at the 2012 Metals and Minerals Investment Conference here in San Francisco. Thanks, Mick. Good to see you.
Always. Thanks.
Have a good one.
All right. Thanks.